everybody, I have got a DIY project for you today to help corral all those stencils that I know you're collecting because I'm collecting them too. When I first got started in mixed media, I thought, stencils, what am I going to use those for? I'm not going to need very many of those. Well, it's kind of like hoarding paper. It just takes on a life of its own. And to this point, I've been storing them in this folder that sits below my desk that is in one of those little file boxes that has the hanging files in it. But I've accumulated enough stencils now that the file folder's gotten kind of heavy and it always tears the hanging folder part. So I've been thinking and thinking, what do I want to do? Do I want to, put them in a book, put them in some kind of bin? What do I want to do? So I was watching some videos, and I know you've seen them. And I love the setup where they're using 6x6 either scrapbook album page protectors or those cellophane envelopes, and that's what they're putting their stencils in, and then they're putting those in those clear refrigerator bin containers, which is a great system. I like it, and I was headed down that route. Either that route or into a small 6x6 scrapbook album because the majority of my stencils are that size. And I was looking on Amazon and I was pricing the fridge bins and I was pricing the envelopes and I was getting ready to order stuff, and I thought, now wait a minute. I have this great big craft room with all this stuff in it. Surely I can figure out some other way to do this. And I did. So I want to show you what I have come up with using cardstock, scrapbook paper that I already have, a container I already had, and an envelope punch board. So like I said, most of my stencils are 6x6. So I pulled out my trusty envelope punch board, which this is one of those things that when they came out and I saw all the cute stuff that everybody was making with it, I was like, I have to have that. So I got it, and I hardly ever used it. Well, it's gotten a workout yesterday and today. So I looked on here, like with all We Are Memory Keepers products, they put everything right on here how to use it. So I looked for the card size of 6x6, since my stencils are 6x6, and it says I need a piece of paper that's 9.5 inches square, and then I'm going to score it at 4 3/4. So let me show you how that works. So here's a piece of, this is pretty heavy DCWV cardstock that I cut down to 9.5. And you line it up over here with 4 3/4. You punch, you score, you flip, you repeat. Okay, that's all there is to it. Line the score line up, your measurement, punch, score. Now this is pretty heavy cardstock, so I'm scoring with gusto. Okay, and you end up with something that looks like this. Now the reverse side of your punch is a corner rounder. You don't have to do this, but I started out doing it, so I just continue doing it. Okay, and that rounds all those corners down nicely. Okay, so that's the end of using your punch board. Then what I did is I folded in two opposite sides and folded up the end. Now, my stencils are going to go in here, and I want to label what they are. So I'm going to cut most of this flap off, cut it so that it's just a little bit bigger than 1/2 inch wide, because those are the labels that I used. Okay. Then I just took some double-sided tape. You could use whatever you want. This was the quickest for me. And I'm going to run a strip up both sides of this flap that folds up. Peel that off. fold that up and your little pocket is sealed shut. Then what I did was on my computer in my Word program is I went in and I typed all the names of my labels, or sorry, my stencils, with the manufacturer, if there was a designer, and what the name of the stencil was. And I just used return address label size. And those are going to fit perfectly right up here on this little flap, okay, that I cut. And I take my stencil, and it's going to slide right down in my pocket. Voila. Okay, so here's how I'm storing them. This is a plastic quote-unquote basket. This is something I picked up at Hobby Lobby when it was 50% off. And I have put all my stencils right in here. Okay, now as you can see, some of these are taller in the back. I don't mind that. They're not any wider than the 6 inches, so they still fit in my envelopes. Now I do have some stencils that are wider than these, but that's okay because I'm going to cut wider pockets, like these guys are wider, and they'll still be able to stand up here in the back. So I was kind of happy with myself to come up with this, a nice little storage system. I didn't spend any money. I used what I had, and I think it's going to work out pretty well. Even some of the papers that I used, even though they may be a little thinner, that's okay. I have more paper. Trust me on this one. I have more paper. I can cut more pockets. So I encourage you to take a look at what you've already got. If you're looking for a new way to store something or use something, I'm glad that I didn't spend any money to do this. So there you have an easy, inexpensive, do-it-yourself stencil storage project. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.